Welcome back to Try Before We Die, the whiskey review show where we don't know what we're drinking, but we will tell you what we're thinking. I mean, essentially, right, Mal? We don't know what we're gonna be drinking.
Correct.
But when we find out, we will tell you what we thought.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice to see you. Welcome back to the bar.
Love being here.
Anything happen in your life we should know about before we find the bottle?
Just freaking getting old.
Getting old, yeah. Are you on crutches these days?
Yeah, I am.
Mal got old, everybody, like overnight. All right, as we know, here's the drill, right? It's not pre-planned. It's not scripted. Hundreds of bottles. We don't know what we're going to drink. In fact, we added some more today to the selection. So maybe it is try until we die.
Someone else would be trying it.
Yeah, here we go. What do you think? You going to guess?
Yeah, 5.
5? 161. That's going to put us on the back side, around the other side of the bar. We'll see everybody there for bottle 161.
Try before we die with a bearded man and a British guy.
We're on the backside for bottle 161. There's a lot of whiskey in this bar, and today it's this bottle. So we know we end at 148 by our count over there. 10 across, 158, 159, 160, 161. I'm going to give the guys here a bill. So we're going to Speyside. Mal will be thrilled. We're going to go to the land of the stag, the Glenfiddich. The 19-year-old Age of Discovery, the Madiera cask finish. This is a 19-year-old, spent time after aging in a Madeira wine cask. Coming in at 40%, but I do know a little bit about this whiskey, and I believe it to be pretty darn rich with some nice deep notes. Of some of the some dried raisin, fig, those kind of fruits, as well as perhaps even some peppery hints. Yes, I have had this before, but not here on the show. I'm not sure how available this is anymore, but I suspect Malcolm will be excited, as maybe the guys will be too when they have their glass. So we'll see everybody back at the bar for the Glenfiddich, the Age of Discovery, 19 years old, Madeira cask finish. You know, I was walking back to the bar and I said, I know where the packaging is. And so I grabbed the box, too, that this came in.
That's like a little,
It's like
little extra.
Little gifty. Again, everybody, it's the Glenfiddich, the 19-year-old Age of Discovery, Madeira cask finish, coming in at 40%. I really like this little waxy thing up here, too.
Gives it like the discovery. It's like a seal.
Right, yeah. We've been given permission. All right, let's get it open. And here's our beginning.
Madeira. So Portugal.
As always, we open these bottles. Everybody saw me. Oh, it could have been a different one, but they wouldn't let me not open it.
Yeah, let me just make sure. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, all right.
You didn't do a switcheroo.
There it is. This would be a badge.
Yeah, we got to do it one day. One season we should do it.
All right.
Season 5.
It's been here for years.
Really?
Yes.
I am surprised of all the New Year's that we've had here, that one day we just did right through this collection and just start drinking them. Just like a sip here, right out of the bottle.
We have done good in building this and maintaining it until, again, when I turned 50, we started this project.
Yes.
And then we
good
kept
project.
adding to it.
Yeah, that's right.
Here
I
we
think
go.
there's more bottles coming than we've drank.
Yeah, here we go.
That was lively.
That was nice. Look at the color on that cork. let's get it into a glass and talk a little bit about it and maybe examine this packaging. Such a smooth pour.
Is that because that look at the top of that bottle? Look how wide that opening is.
It is just it feels a little more substantial than nice seal. Okay, coming in at 40%. I mean, obviously we're excited about this. We'll get it up here.
That box is pretty impressive.
Ooh. Something's missing. Lots of words. On Christmas Day in 1887, the first whiskey flowed from the stills at the Glenfiddich distillery. You know, this is true for some other distilleries as well.
Okay.
Christmas Day mattering. Over 120 years later, Glenfiddich remains family-owned, and Glenfiddich has become the world's most awarded single malt. The Age of Discovery. There's just so much to read there. Maybe we'll pop a few things in TBWD facts. Tasting notes. A deep, earthy aroma of sweet, ripe figs and orange marmalade. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Marmalade.
Form a backdrop to bright notes of fresh gooseberries and grapes ripening on the vine. Taste. Rich and spicy cinnamon and cracked black pepper, my bad. Rest on a base of deep earthy notes, caramelized fruits, crystallized ginger, raisins, and hints of dry oak. The texture is satisfying, silky smooth, almost oily. Pleasantly dry finish with warmth that fades into a lingering sweet marmalade finish. Oh, Brian Kinsman, the malt master, who's behind the Grand Cru, who I've actually communicated with a couple times, is behind this, and is only the 6th master distiller that they've had. Has personally selected the whiskeys used to create this exclusive Madeira cask finish, and the first in our Age of Discovery range, which is what I thought. There are other Age of Discovery bottles, different finishes.
All right.
So here we have the Madeira. We'll try to learn a little bit about how common or uncommon the Madeira is as well in a TBWD fact. I think there may be some ginger in this bar too. We'll see if some can show up on for accoutrement time, just because they're mentioning it. Now, this is good.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a solid amber color.
It's very rich.
Maybe a gold. Maybe a better description of it. A rich gold color. But that's a great color too.
It's a good looking glass of whiskey.
You feel like the warmth already in it.
And it really does well, and it may not translate onto the camera, but where I'm holding it now, I am reflecting some of these reds up onto the glass, as well as catching the white light into the liquid. It is a very nice, and I have this one just nice leg all by its lonesome, as if it was a pioneer discovering something.
Yeah, I mean, that sheet doesn't want to come down. I've got like...
I've got, you have the beginnings of legs all over the place, as if following the first two, Lewis and Clark, as it were.
Oh, listen to you.
Right, and then the masses and the
followers.
westward ho, just
The followers.
expansion.
The followers.
Right, that's how that works. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Oh, that is so pleasant. Oh my gosh. It was so deep and rich and sweet right on the nose, Mal. But not a sherry sweetness at all.
No, so what? Let's just throw this out. What exactly is Madeira?
I don't know.
So it's a Portuguese wine, right? I think it's more similar to a port than it is to a French wine.
I'll see if I can.
Look at you.
I'll see if we can go really
Where
fast.
did you just get that from?
Right. I think if anything, we're trying to prove to folks that we don't prepare this. So Mal is absolutely right. Portugal. Fortified wine made in the Portuguese Madeira Islands. Okay, so they're named after islands. Very good. Off the coast of Africa. Madeira is produced in a variety of styles ranging from dry wines, which can be consumed on their own. Oh, now it wants me to follow a link. As an aperitif, to sweet wines consumed with dessert.
Like a port.
Blah, 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 blah. The islands of Madeira have a long winemaking history dating back to the
Age of Discovery?
Age of Discovery, approximately from the end of the 15th century.
That's a really pleasant smell.
Right, and so this is actually long sea voyages. Yeah, so you're onto it, Mal, with this Portuguese idea.
Well, that's
All
why
right.
that gives that different smell than we'd get with our sherry
It
cask.
is so pleasant. Do you find it very pleasant?
Yeah, it is. Like I could just smell this.
It's very enjoyable on the nose.
Almost like you know what it reminds me of a lot of? Strawberry licorice.
I feel like that could be a stretch. But I hear what you're saying. I think the stretch for me is the strawberry part. The licorice part I can
Okay.
agree with. But it is a sweet licorice.
And more so to like the fortified wine,
So
like a
there-
port. Like a
Ripe figs, orange marmalade, fresh gooseberries.
and maybe that's what that smell is.
That
It's figs.
that pleasantness is and they're saying sweet ripe figs, not a dried fig.
But it's a really pleasant smell.
It just is a really pleasant smell, everybody, for sure. I mean, I agree with Mal. Could just sort of nose this.
But let's drink it.
I'm with Mal.
Cheers. You know, sometimes I hear you say the writing on the bottle, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. But that's about exactly how I describe it. I have that lingering at the back,
It's slightly oily.
slightly oily.
It's got good mouthfeel. It's moderately bordering on fairly complex. There's a lot happening in my mouth right now from all over. The finish for me, Mal, is lasting in my mouth, not in my body.
It's right, because it's like I can taste the raisins. I can, right on the back of my tongue. And every time I go and try to swallow, I can taste that raisin. But you're right, it has a great mouthfeel. It's not overwhelming. It's not just like liquid. It just coats and doesn't linger a long time, but it lingers a lot to just let you know, like, yeah, I'm here, and you smelt me, and it smelled great, and now I taste fantastic. But I can taste the raisins. This is a good drink.
I mean, Brian Kinsman has done it again. We were very impressed with the Grand Cru.
Ah, wow.
You know, what I like now is how much is happening in my mouth and really how little is happening in my body, right?
Yeah,
That
right
it's
here.
not just like beating me up, but rather it's allowing me to have this very enjoyable Scotch whiskey experience. Like, imagine, and we wouldn't do this, but imagine somebody who never had a Scotch whiskey and giving them a glass of this and going, that's a glass of Scotch. They would be dumbfounded.
Yeah. I mean, this is, it goes to this, and this is, I bring this up, and I very novice. I wish I had a palate that was more developed to pull some of these flavors in there, because there is a lot going on.
There is a lot.
But you have a very hard time picking it all out. So they use all these words on these bottles and this and that, and you're going to get this and hints of it. But what I look for is how pleasant the drink is. Did it fight me on the way down?
Yeah.
Did it roast me going down? And this drink is just fantastic.
So enjoyable.
Just so
Like I feel like I'm even just hanging out, still nosing it.
this would make a great starter drink. If you
Really? All right, so here's the problem with this as a starter drink.
Okay.
In many ways, all you're doing is going down from there.
True. True.
I mean, your lineup better be spectacular.
Well, I have a look at this. Look at this bar.
If this is what you're starting with,
And I would say, when I say start, okay, let's just maybe just read. I would have this before dinner.
okay, an aperitif.
Aperitif.
Right. And actually, they're declaring that Madeira is a good aperitif,
Yes.
right?
But it does bring that out. This would not affect me.
This is why this is a good aperitif drink, right? This is an accoutrement in itself.
Okay.
This is the thing that is paired with, and to go back to Ethan Kelly, this is the pairing with the environment,
Okay.
right? What would you have with a good friend? What would you have in a great establishment? What would you have for a ceremony or an anniversary, right? What would you pair with those circumstances? This is the accoutrement to that.
No doubt. That's a well put way of doing this, because it really is.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to add anything to this. I don't think you really need to, because I think it would detract from what you're
Well,
drinking.
because if we, and I may, but if you do, right, you're taking away, because there's so much happening here, you're going to accent something at the expense of something else.
Correct. And it's so pleasant to begin with.
I gave a nice pour, too.
You did.
Yeah.
I did see that. I was like, now I'm worried about Frank. And usually I'm like 2 drinks into it. I'm like, oh, I got one more sip for the cheers.
Yeah.
This one I can have a couple more sips. And that's what makes this drink good, because you can just sit here and just sip it. And not race through it, not rush it. This is opening up your night.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm about to have dinner, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
Let's just say it's some sort of red wine-based meal or something along those
dark
lines.
and rich.
And it's just
I'm excited to learn more about this release through the research part that we'll do when we go into production and TBWD fact this. But I'm really enjoying this glass of whiskey.
And what I do, you know how you get that sulfur taste? That sulfur
On a sherry.
on a sherry?
Yes.
I like the fact that you don't get it with this.
It is not there at all.
This is just smooth. You can't read that.
I can. It's saying the same thing. Madeira is a fortified wine
Okay.
made from local grape varieties. It undergoes a unique heating process known as estafugem, and is then filled into oak casks and matured in traditional cantito warehouses designed to capture the heat of the sun.
Interesting.
You can't read
No,
those.
even with these glasses, I probably have it all the time.
I think what they're asking us to consider is that this whiskey is a journey.
A discovery. Not to be
We're
corny.
taking some time, almost as if it were an age.
It is. I mean, there's no rush with this.
No.
You don't need to rush it. Not that you would rush a drink to
because
begin
I
with.
still have it.
But I just have this very great feeling of just hanging out and just drinking this. Mm-hmm. Not thinking about what's next.
Yeah.
It's like, this is leading me somewhere.
So we've said it a couple times. Do you feel like this is an accoutrement that you want to add? Is there anything here that you want to add?
No.
The only thing I would might consider would be like a fresh piece of bread that wouldn't be powerful in its flavor. I feel like we have so many potent flavors here that I'm also gonna not have something.
I'd agree.
Yeah. The Glenfiddich, Age of Discovery, 19-year-old Madeira cask finish, stands on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Mal, that was a nice bottle pull we got tonight.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Let's see what the crew has for us.
It's a good. They're really going. I mean, they are really. It actually pairs well with this drink.
When climbing the hill of prosperity, may we never meet a friend coming down.
Cheers.
Meaning we should all be journeying together. This has to have been here for 7 years, at least. You know, and if somebody told me it turns out it was 6, I would believe them. But I wouldn't be surprised if this has been here for 7 or 8 years.
What we didn't touch on was the alcohol.
Well, 40%.
That's a 40.
It's only a 40, but there's so much happening with that 40%. Very much like the Grand Cru.
Yep.
Coming in at that 40, but
So well put together that you've got all this complexity and not having to have the ABV up.
I think what it lends itself to, just like the Grand Cru coming in, I think at 23, coming in at 19 years, that aging made the difference.
Yes. And that's where you see this. It is age that is a big factor on how drinks come out. Fantastic. That's a wonderful drink. I love the bottle too. And the snap.